First of all, I think I have to apologize to those people that thought that the strategy meeting was also today at 8. So some people were here at 8 and then figured out that we didn't have any strategy meeting. The strategy meetings normally start at the day that the UNEA starts. So for our next time, you know, that we have those major group strategy meetings only at the UNEA days, not in the global forum. There was also a request from some people to know each other better, at least to know from which major group you are. So I would like to ask the people that are facilitating a major group, so the ones that are in the major group facilitating committee, per major group to stand up. So I will ask first from the NGOs, who are the facilitators for the NGOs? I know it's Cecilia and it's me, but I don't see Cecilia. Okay, that's well, then it's me also. For business and industry, who is the organizing partner or facilitator? Noreen. So all the people, business and industry, that's the person you have to approach if you want to have a joint position as business and industry. Science and technology. Are you also the facilitator? No, I think it's Mohamed, huh? So you are the facilitator of the major group of science and technology, and the other ones just approach him. So I'm asking only the people that are facilitating the major group, so that people know who is leading or coordinating or whatever you call it. Youth, children and youth. Are the organizing partners here? Facilitators? Well, it's Sunday morning, so what can you expect? I have 2 teenagers, so. Again. Children and youth. Okay. But, well, they know each other, I think, most of them. Local authorities. I know. Local authorities are here. Farmers. So all farmers approach Calvin, to only one, okay. Then, trade unions. Trade unions, is there only, the 2 are there, so people, part of the major group trade unions, you know where to go. Women. Okay, so women are sitting there. I forget, indigenous people. It's also for me Sunday morning. A lot of indigenous people. Good, good. Do I forget a group? I'm thinking. Sorry? I have them.
Workers and regional reps.
Regional reps, yeah, regional reps. It's not a major group, but they're here. Good. Okay, so that's to start with. Then the morning program is mostly for us to have common positions on several agenda items of the UNEA program. Yesterday I asked to the audience to come to me and propose working groups. We ended up, I think more or less, with having 1 working group per cluster of resolutions and 1 working group that has to draft, or at least the first draft for the common statements we can make tomorrow. 1 in the plenary and 1 in the committee of work, the COW. So that means that we will have 6 working groups, unless you propose another one. So the first one is on cluster 1. There are more resolutions, but one that is interesting, well, for the people that came to us, is UNEA, the role at HLPF. Is there someone who wants to take a lead on that cluster? Okay, good. So people that want to go to that cluster, follow him. Rodrigo. Cluster 2, which is several things, but also including SCP, food waste. Who wants to take a lead on that cluster? A farmer? Good. So if you are interested in doing your comments on cluster 2, please follow him. Cluster 3, maybe the most boring one, but a very important one, is on midterm review, UNEA, the UNEA cycles, budget, program of work. Who wants to take a lead on that? That doesn't surprise me at all. Okay, so nobody. So then we skip that working group if nobody is interested in it. Then we have cluster 4. It's about rule of law, access to information, SCP, the Montevideo process. I know that the WRI people are interested in that, but I don't see them now. Carol? I don't have my glasses on, so I don't know who's in the room. Marcos, they're not here. Is there anybody else who wants to take a lead on that cluster? Well, if nobody wants to take a lead on that, then I will just do it myself, and then hoping that the law people will come in later. Because it also contains the SCP, the stakeholder engagement policy. I think it's important that we write something down on that. So then I will take care of that cluster for the moment. Then we have cluster 5. It includes the resolution, protection of the environment in areas of post-conflict zones, the Gaza Strip resolution. Do, you're taking the lead on that one. So please, all the people that want to join cluster 5 working group, follow him. And then the last one is about the common statement for tomorrow. Who wants to take a lead on that? So that will be 2 statements. One, let's say, kind of outcome of this forum, a summary on what we did today and yesterday, of course, and one on the stakeholder engagement policy.
No
Susanna,
I will do it.
take the lead on that. So please join Susanna if you want to say, have your say on that. That means that we have 5 groups, as we skip the cluster 3 for the moment. Then I think the best you can do is find a place to sit. I mean, we have this room and room 14 upstairs. So we have 2 rooms, but you can also sit outside in the garden or wherever you want, in the cafeteria. I mean, I don't think the groups will be very, very big. I hope there will be imbalance in the groups. I mean, just to know, who will be joining cluster 1? Apart from the leader. Okay, so cluster 2. Okay. Cluster 4. Well, that's the. Are you in cluster 4? Okay, and Stephen, I think I saw him coming in. Cluster 5.
We'll do that.
Okay, and then cluster 6 on the common statement. Okay, so I think in every working group we have at least 2 people. So when you have 2, you have a group.
Can you repeat the names of the leaders so we can write it down and put it and screen it?
Yeah.
Yeah, Alexander just suggested me that.
Okay, so we want to have the names of the leaders. So the first one was Rodrigo.
Okay, second. The first.
Second was, what is your name, sorry?
Wali Haider.
Wally.
4 is me. Cluster 5 is Do. What's your family name, sorry? Weird. Weird? That's weird. Okay. And the last one is you. You know your name.
Yes.
Who wants to say something? I see a hand, but on the screen, oh, there.
Yes, I'm sorry, I was a bit late. Can you please name the topics of the clusters once again?
The topics of the clusters.
Yeah.
Well, they don't not really have topics, but let's say cluster 1 is UNEA role at HLPF and some others, but yeah, they're all on the website. Cluster 2 is on SCP, food waste, all that kind of things. Cluster 4, rule of law, access to information, Montevideo process. Cluster 5, resolution, protection of the environment in areas of post-conflict zones. And the 6 is on, it's not a cluster, but that's just our task to do, is having a common statement for tomorrow or 2. Yeah? Please.
I think there are people who are going to come in after this, and if they don't know what is being discussed in the different groups and where it's taking place, they might get lost. So would it be possible to type the cluster groups and what they're discussing and where they're meeting, and project it there so that...
Yeah, that's the next point. So first we are sitting together somewhere, so you have to organize yourself where you're going to sit. Then we have the report back. That's at 12. So at 12, we're all coming here to the plenary. Within your working group, as usual, you have one moderator, you have one note taker. The note taker and the rapporteur will do the report back. And that's something we can, if you give that to me in text, so we can make a PowerPoint of it, and then we will show that on the screen and have some kind of common understanding on what was said and what we are going to write in the report. So that will be at 12 o'clock here in this room. Yeah? Okay, then the rest of the day, then we have the lunch break at 1. And in parallel, a Brownback presentation by UNEP, which will be done in the press room. It's about social and environmental safeguards and kind of assessment of UNEP work and projects on the social and environmental impacts. That's in principle open for everybody, but the room is limited. I mean, it's so it's then the first ones first, I think. And then in the afternoon at 2:30, we will have a discussion, or we will start a discussion on the future vision for UNEA and the Global Major Group Stakeholder Forum. So that will be presented by Jan Gustav Strandenaas, and after that we will have panel discussions and a presentation. But we can, I will present that later on again. And then, of course, at 7 we have maybe the most important thing of the whole weekend. We have the party, which is not here, but in the recreation center, which is on the other side of the compound. Is there any question? If not, I think we can break up in the working groups. There is a question.
Am I right that there's no working group on cluster 3 on oceans and marine debris and coral, etc.? I would like to contribute, but I will have to leave at 12, so I'm just wondering if there's someone to take the lead on that one.
There was some, as yesterday the deputy director, I think it was, from the governing bodies already said there is some reshuffling of the clusters. So cluster 3 is now about medium-term strategy and review of UNEA cycles, and the oceans are in cluster 2, together with SEP. So I will forward.
Is it possible to put the new clusters on the screen so we can see them?
I will send it to the UNEA list, so then you have them on your own screen. Is that okay? Okay, well then give me your email address. You will be put on the UNEA list. Okay? Anything else? Carol, are you going to take a lead on the cluster on Montevideo, SEP, and so on? Yeah, I volunteered because I hoped you would come. Is that okay? Okay, good. Thank you. Are you already confused?
Oceans is in 2, forests is in 5.
Okay, can I connect the computer?
This is not approved yet. Maybe we're not supposed to screen it. We should ask before.
I just hear that the proposal that was sent to us is not approved yet. So we can go with the old clustering that we heard yesterday. I don't see a lot of difference, to be very honest. Okay. Just the numbers, but the clusters are more or less the same, as I see. Oceans is in 2, in the new one, in the new proposal. It will be on the screen. I mean, the proposal for a new clustering, but there's not a lot of difference in it, only mostly the numbering. So, for making your decision, cluster 1, which is still Rodrigo, I think, who will take a lead in that working group. The roles of UNEP and UNEA in delivering the environmental dimension. It's about the Samoa pathway, investing in human capacity for sustainable development, promoting the effective implementation of the Paris Climate Agreement. Cluster 2, because I don't know if you can read it all. Sound management of chemicals and waste, marine plastic and microplastics, sustainable consumption and production, wasted food reduction, rescue and diversion, oceans, sustainable coral reefs. Cluster 2, I mean, in this structure. 3, on medium-term strategy, management of trust funds, and the review of the UNEA cycle. Cluster 4, relations between UNEP and MEAs, enhancing the work of UNEP in facilitating cooperation, collaboration, also with MEAs, midterm review Montevideo, and role, function, and follow-up of the Forum of Ministers and Environmental Authorities of the Asia Pacific. Cluster 5, illegal trade, wildlife, sustainable and optimal management of natural capital for sustainable development and poverty eradication, mainstreaming of biodiversity, combating desertification, protection of the environment in areas affected by armed conflicts, field-based environmental assessment of the effects, well, the long title on the Gaza Strip, and sand and dust storms. Yeah, to make your decision in which working group you will be. And then the last one is on the common statement. The SCP I don't see, but there's not a resolution on SCP.
Excuse me, can you also repeat where all the groups are meeting, in which room they are all meeting, separate rooms?
We don't have 6 rooms. That's why I asked the leaders to stand up, the leaders of the working group. Just go to that person and then organize a place to sit. We can have 4 groups here, and we have room 14 upstairs. I don't know who talked, so I'm looking around. And we have room 14 where 2 groups can sit, but you can also go to the cafeteria if you decide. So we don't have rooms for that. So once again, who is leading working group 1? It's Rodrigo Messias. So please follow him if you want to say something on cluster 1. Cluster 2, please follow him, Wally. Cluster 3, Carol? Please, thank you. And then cluster 4 on conflicts is Dol. And the last one, Susanna, on the common statement. So just approach those persons and then decide by your own where to sit, and also decide who is going to do the feedback, the reporting, and that person has to have just a few bullet points, so not a whole history of what was said in your working group, but just a few bullet points that can go into the report. Any question still, please?
Excuse me, the topics here in the PowerPoint is different from the one in the table. Like cluster 4, conflicts is in the table, it's cluster 5.
And don't use the numbers, but just use the content and the substance. Then you know where to go, and the numbers we will figure out later because there is some reshuffling in the structure. Yeah, please.
I think we're missing cluster 5, which has illegal wildlife trade and natural capital. We do not have a cluster group discussing.
Yeah, but that's cluster 4 is the same. It's the same. It's in the same cluster, but we call it working groups. I mean, it's wrong in the slides because it's about our working groups related to several clusters, and the several clusters we don't have exactly the numbers because they are reshuffling those. So please go for the content now and not for your number. So if you want to say something on wildlife, then it is working group 5. Well, then speak. I mean,
it is still not clear. So if you're interested in illegal wildlife trade and natural capital, which working group should you go?
You go to working group 4 because
you.
it's in the same cluster. Working group 4 is on conflict, is on the things which is in the other slides, cluster 5. So it's not only on conflicts, it's one of the resolutions, but it's in the same cluster. Then you can say something on the resolution on wildlife. Okay? Any other question? If not, I would just propose to find the leader of your working group and draft some very interesting bullet points for recommendation, joint recommendations for the clusters. Thank you very much. And I see you back at 12 here.
Leda, sorry.
And please, can the reporters, can they give me their text on forehand? I mean, a few minutes on forehand so we can make the PowerPoint.
Let's just ask Leda. Leda, can I ask a question, please?
Please,
First?
yeah.
Sorry, Leda.
It's
Just
okay.
to clarify, because there you put the working group 5 with the common statement, but in the clustering that you just showed before, the cluster 5 is actually biodiversity.
Yes, I know, but cluster 5 is our working group 4.